This is Matthew 24 and 20, Matthew 24 and 24. And it says, and this is in the GNT, it says, for false messiahs and false prophets will appear. They will perform great miracles and wonders in order to deceive even Yahweh's chosen people, if possible. Listen, I have told you this ahead of time. I like to start off by saying, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ruach Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab. I'm one back at you with another lesson and going into this title, all right? The Final Deception, all right? Project BB, all right? You already know what that is, all right? I got it right there in the background, all right? And let's read this one more time in Matthew 24 and 24 and the GNT. And it says, for false messiahs and false prophets will appear. They will perform great miracles and wonders in order to deceive even Yahweh's people, if possible. Okay, which at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to deceive the elect, all right? Because the elect understands this word. The elect has the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai's will, of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai's book, okay, of his understanding, all right, his secrets, as the scriptures say. You know, the servants will know surely the Lord will do nothing but reveal his secrets unto the servants, the prophets. All right, so the Lord tells us ahead of time when something's going off. You know, he'll put it on our spirit to be able to reveal these things. All right, we have the spirit of discernment. Okay, and you know, this title comes basically from which I'm about to play a video from Instagram. Okay, because right now you got a lot of chariots that are showing. All right, they're showing themselves. All right, they're revealing themselves onto the world. All right, because the eyes of the Lord is upon the sinful kingdom, as the scriptures say, right? Beholding the good and the evil, which the eyes of the Lord are these chariots, which the world calls, you know, ignorantly UFOs. Okay, they'll sit out there and tell you that they're, Mars. Okay, so what's happening is that you have DT. All right, you have these governments that want to try to use Project BB, all right, Blue Beam, going into trying to deceive the masses to make them think that we're going to be under an alien invasion, right? And the title, The Final Deception, comes from back when I first came into this truth. Even before this truth, I used to look up into a lot of videos on the Illuminati and shit like that. And they have an Illuminati card game, and I've spoken about this in many videos, you know. And they have an Illuminati card game, all right? And they used to have a card that they now took out and they changed the name to it and everything. And it was called The Final Deception. And it had a bunch of UFOs around the church, basically, okay? Now it's called the Church of America, I believe. Illuminati card game, Church of America card. Yeah, see, now it's called... Hold on real quick. This shit tripping right now. I'm trying to charge this phone and it's tripping at the same time. Come on, for real. Give me 1 second, hold on. If that ain't fucking Satan. Perfectly fine, damn charge, that's right. I should have enough, 28%. I should have enough to do the video. All right, so going into that, All right. It's now called the Church of Middle America. Okay. And this is what that card looks like, just to show you. I always tried to find the actual original card, and I cannot find it anywhere. But I remember, you know, for sure when I started looking up a lot of Illuminati videos, it was around 2009. That's when, you know, a lot of shit was being revealed, you know, it was being pushed through the web. All right. And it was nothing like it is today, where, you know, you have all these fact checkers and you have, you know, a certain algorithm trying to, you know, they trying to knock off the algorithm of you being able to search and reveal things like that. So they'll try to, you know, throw it off and confuse you. Back then, you can actually look these things up and it would just pop right up, you know. And like I said, I was never able to get that that card again. All right, but this is what the card looks like. Okay, it's now called Church of Middle America, and it has a bunch of UFOs, all right, around the church basically. And back then, it was called the Final Deception, because that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to bring a deception. All right, they're going to try to deceive people with making you feel like there's aliens that are invading us, right? They're also going to try to take one of the things that they want to do. They want to be able to take all these different gods from around the world with all these different religions, and in the skies, they want to be able to make them appear in the skies and combine them to one God. All right, remember, they're trying to bring a new world order, right? They're trying to bring a one world government. So they want to have a one world God, basically. And they want to take all these different gods and combine them together to make one God for you to worship. All right. On top of, you know, them having all these other, you know, different gods, these different idols. One of the main ones being this RFID, all right, this digital messiah, okay, that they want to make. All right. But in the process of that, they're going to also try to make gods appear in the sky. All right. And then they have what you call low frequency waves that they're able to send out signals. All right. And make it seem like we're hearing voices in our head to tell us that's the way. Okay. They have the technology and power to do that. You have to remember that Esau comes in the working of Satan, right? As it tells you in 2 Thessalonians. Let's grab that too. And let's grab it from 7. It says, for the mystery of iniquity does already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. Right. It says, and then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord Yahushua shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, which is the mouth of the prophets. All right. And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. How is he going to do that when Yahushua cracks them clouds? Okay. It says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all powers and signs and lying wonders. All right. That goes into those miracles. All right. Because the miracles also go into, you know, technologies. All right. Just like how you hear in Revelations, the 13th chapter, right, verse 14, it tells you what? And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, you see, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. All right. And that goes into these different technologies. All right. So in these last days, knowledge is what is being increased. Knowledge is increased on the left hand side. Knowledge is increased on the right hand side. So these devils are used to, you know, pretty much doing witchcrafts and sorceries. So, you know, one of their witchcrafts and sorceries that they're going to use is their technology. All right. When you go deep into Project Bluebeam or what it's able to do whatever the hell it wants. All right. They could put all types of images in the sky. You know, they're doing it now. They're using it now. They got videos of, you know, that's why you got to have the spirit of discernment and know when it's actual, like when it's actually chariots and when it's not chariots. All right. But a lot of wonders and miracles are being done in the skies in these last days. All right. And they're preparing you for an alien invasion. You know, they want you to think that we're being under attack. All right. By aliens, which if you have the understanding of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, knowledge and wisdom going to be the stability of that time. So you know exactly how the Lord is going to come back. Okay. Because it explains to you how the Lord going to come back. All right. So he going to come in the midst of World War III. Okay. He going to come. As a matter of fact, let's grab that real quick. I'm going back to real quick. This is Matthew 24. right? This is Matthew 24 and really. Oh, that's why, because I read it from here. Salaki, I read it from the GNT book I had. All right. When you go into Matthew 24 and I believe it's yeah. So this is 26. Let me grab it in the GNT. Let me see what it says in the let's see what it says in the GNT. Because I got this book and I don't be using it. I should use it more often. The GNT be hitting. It says, or if people should tell you, look, he is out in the desert, don't go there. Or if they say, look, he is hiding here, don't believe it. Yeah, because you're gonna have, people telling you, here's your Hamashiach, here's your Hawashai. You come see, or well, you should know how the Lord's gonna come back. So anything other than that way is gonna be a false way. All right, just like we read here before earlier, there shall be false messiahs. So one of the things that they're going to do is false messiahs in these skies through Project Bluebeam, right? So it says, look, he is hiding here. Don't believe it. For the Son of Man will come like the lightning which flashes across the whole sky from the east to the west. You see? So he going to come from the east, all right? Just how the sun rises. This is what it says in the KJV. It says, wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is here in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chamber, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. You see, for wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. All right, and we understand that the Lord gonna come with 10,000 of his saints, as the scriptures say. All right, he gonna come with them chariots. Okay, so he gonna come from the east to the west. The same way the sun rises, comes from the east and it comes down to the west. That's exactly how Yahweh Shai is gonna come back in these last days. Okay, then you have to understand. Let's grab this. This is it's gonna be in the midst of World War III. Okay, because this is 2nd Ezra 13, and I'll get straight to the point. And it says 5, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven and could not, because this chariot, this mountain, right, is really a chariot. There's no such thing as you flying on a mountain. But a mountain represents power. A mountain can also represent government, all right? But it represents power in this moment, all right? Which it really also represents government, because it's what's going to be governing the rest of this whole world, and righteousness is going to be Yahweh Shai, all right? But this mountain that he flew upon was his great glory, okay? As it tells you in Isaiah. All right, let me grab that real quick. Isaiah 63 and 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra, that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength? You see, and the greatness of his strength is going to be those chariots. Okay, why does he have dyed garments from Basra? Because America is a representation of Basra. All right, and his dyed garments is representation of the bloodshed that he's going to bring upon this place, man. Because the Lord not going to meet these people as a man. He's going to come as an angelic force. All right, so he's going to come in his glory. All right, is traveling in the greatness of his strength, which is what? These chariots. All right, again, the Lord says in Jude, right, in the book, in Jude chapter 1, and what is that? Grab that real quick. 1 and I think is 7. No, not 1 or 7. 1 and 14. Salakia. And Enoch also, the 7th from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, behold, the Lord Yahweh Shai cometh with 10,000 of his saints to execute judgment upon all, to convince all that are ungodly among them of their ungodly deeds, which they have ungodly committed, of all their hard speeches, which ungodly sinners have spoken against. You see? So he's going to come with 10,000 of his saints. Okay? Matter of fact. All right. And to show that it's a chariot, you go to Hebrews. All right. This is Hebrews 1:11 and 11 and what is that? 4, 5. By faith, Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found, because Yahweh had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he had pleased Yahweh. Okay, so he was translated. He just disappeared out of thin air. How does that happen? It has to happen through an actual chariot, man. All right. As a matter of fact, let's go into the blue letter, right? And see what that word translated goes into. All right. Just want to see. I'm curious. And the interlinear translated goes into, it says metatithemi, something like that. Metatithemi.
Strong's G 3346.
Metatithemi. Yeah, metatithemi. It says to transpose two things, one of which is put in place of the other. To transfer, you see, to change. Okay. And what does that remind you of? 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, right? Also Philippians, all right, that we shall all be changed. All right. We shall have our vile bodies be changed into those glorious bodies. All right. How's that going to happen? Through a chariot, man. Through us being beamed up into those chariots, and the Lord going to give us a whole different body. All right. It says to transfer oneself, or suffers oneself to be transferred. All right. To go or pass over. All right. To fall away. To transport. Let's see what this word transport goes into. All right. Word etymology online, transport.
The word transport comes from Old French and Latin, meaning to carry across. It originally meant conveying something, but later came to describe emotional states, banishment, and physical movement.
Look at that, banishment. All right. Let me see. Banishment goes into the punishment. Hold on. From a country or other place. The action of getting rid of something unwanted. No, I was thinking about some banishment. I'm thinking about banish. My bad. That's what it was. I'm bugging. All right. But, all right. The main thing is being transferred. Okay. Transpose. As a matter of fact, let's see what that word goes into. Word etymology online, transpose.
The word transpose comes from Old French and Latin, meaning, quote, to place over or across.
Yeah, to place over. Yeah, he took them, he took them and translated them into what? To that spirit world, man. All right, the same way the Lord came, right? When the Lord rose on the third day, right? What happened? Okay, you had the chariots that came and they took Yahushai, right? Because let's grab that real quick. This is Acts. All right, this is Acts. Let me get to it. Acts. What was that? Acts. Is it 2 or 1? It should be. Yeah, it should be 1. Yeah, this is 1 and 11 in Acts. It says, which also, let's take it from. Yeah, let's take it from 9. It says, and when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up. Okay, Yahushua was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. You see, out of their sight, a cloud received them. So we know that the cloud is a representation of the chariots, because it tells you that in Psalms 104, all right, verse 3, all right, who maketh the cloud his chariots. Okay. So they lay the beams they lay their beams in the water. All right. As a matter of fact, let me just grab that real quick. This is Psalms 104 and 3. And it says, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. You see? So let's go back to Acts 1 and 11. All right. I'll take it from 9. It says, and when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. So the same thing happened with Enoch. He was translated, okay, from one place to another, transposed, right? It says, and while they looked steadfast toward heaven, as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, all right, which were angels, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? The same Yahushua which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. All right, so that's the same way he gonna come back. He was translated, he was taken up into a chariot, right? And he gonna return back on a chariot. All right, and this is why you see a lot of chariot sightings in these last days, man, because the Lord is revealing onto his elect, you know, to give us what? To give us that boost of faith, you know, to believe. Okay. These are ways that the Lord shows that this word is true onto our people. Shalom, Malak, Yahweh, Bashem, Al-Shah, Barakatah, onto you and your household, right? So, you know, Enoch was a representation of what would happen to us eventually, because he was found what? He was found righteous, all right, in the sight of the Lord. He pleased the Lord. So he took him away from all that misery at the time. He, you know, he basically translated him, all right? Let's go back to that word transpose to see what it goes into. All right. Transpose goes to removal from one position to another. All right. And where did he remove him to? Where else can you go? He was already here living on earth, right? So where else will he go? He was translated into that chariot. Okay. It says to place over, set over. All right. Let me see what else is in here. A putting of each of 2 things in the place formerly occupied by the other. All right. Transpose, transfer, remove, present. All right. To place over, set over, across, beyond. Okay. Beyond where? All right. Because only the chariots could take you to a place beyond, right? So, let me see. So, like, I'm just seeing what these words going into. All right. What else you got here? You got transpose, translated, transfer. All right. Let's try. Let me see. Actually, hold on real quick. 1 second. This is a root word, so it got 2 different words in there. I want to see what else it says. To set, put, place, to put down, lay down, to wear or carry no longer. All right, to carry off. Yeah, to carry off. And that's spiritual, because you had our people when they were in slavery, man, they used to sing that song, all right, carry me off, swing low, sweet chariot, you know, carry me off. All right, because our people knew in that time. They had a sense of that, man. All right, and best believe the Lord was showing in those days himself also through them chariots. Okay. It says to set forth something to be explained by discourse, you know. And when it goes into that, you know, what do they tell you with these UFOs? That they're phenomenons, right? That there's something that you can't explain. All right. Well, that's how it was when these people had seen Yahushua beamed up into those chariots. They couldn't explain it. Okay. But the angels told them exactly what was going to happen, right? That's the same way you're going to see the Lord come back. Okay. So let's go back to Salaki. I was just rambling on these words. Let's go back to 2nd Ezra, all right, to prove that also. 2nd Ezra 13 and 8. And it says, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they that were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet there's fight. Yeah, because they're going to be in the middle of war. All right. And they're going to be sore afraid when they see those clouds crack in the east. All right. All of a sudden. All right. But what's going to happen is that the Lord going to put the spirit on them to fight anyway at the end of the day. That's why it says, yet there's fight. Okay. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. You see, but only I saw that he had sent out of his mouth, as it had been, a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. You see, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden and innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. All right. And that's why you go into Revelation, the 12th chapter, it speaks about the war in heaven. You see Michael and his angels, all right, Satan and his, his minions. All right. And that's not literally talking about a war in heaven, God against the devil. Nah, that's talking about the military governments around the world trying to fight against Yahweh Shai. And what did it say? That they're not going to prevail. Okay. So when they see, and they show you that in Independence Day, the movie, all right, the old school one, you see that all the aliens was fighting against the military. That's that war in heaven. Okay. That's what it meant. That he was gonna the flaming breath, the blast of fire, he destroyed all of them that came against him. All right. And the flaming breath that comes out of his mouth, how is that gonna come out of the mouth of a mountain? All right, that's showing you that it's a metaphor. It represents something. All right, and that's talking about the concentrated laser beams that's gonna come out of the mouth of the chariots. Okay, meaning that you're gonna see them zapping, they're gonna zap what they need to zap, all right, along with these missiles hitting at the same time. Okay, so let's go into let me just go into this video real quick before I keep on going. I already been talking a little bit, right? This is oh shit, my bad. I gotta get to it. Hold on, I'm backed out somehow. Give me 1 second. I'm getting there now. All right, so you have where's that video at? Here you go.
Breaking news. So what do governments usually do when there's a lot of pressure on a specific topic that they don't want to talk about? What do they usually do? Wars, riots, fake deaths. Sometimes they do fake death. They wouldn't do fake deaths, would they? Celebrity scandals, and everybody looks there. Weather warfare. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Or Project Blue Beam that we've been talking about for a while.
It says right here, he's got a post from DJ Trump, right? When was this posted? I don't know, but on here it says 37 minutes ago, right? It says, based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAPs, right? And UFOs, basically going into the unidentified flying objects, which these are identified. We know exactly what they are. We know that those are the chariots of the Heavenly Father, right? It says, in any and all other information connected to these high, complex, but extremely interesting and important matters, God bless America. All right. And he's right what he's saying. Whenever they want to, cover things up and all that, they come out with all these different things to try to sidetrack you, man. All right. And this is one of them that they're going to start doing. And they've been doing it lately because all of a sudden, a bunch of leakages of all these different types of chariots that they have caught on film, on camera, all right, are now being exposed even better. And they're coming out with actual good footage, as opposed to like back then they used to try to expose it and they'll try to give you a little insight on it, but it was always just like the pictures weren't great. The pictures was like, damn, with all this fucking technology they got, they can't even pull out a good ass picture on these things. But now they're actually trying to show you these good ass pictures of actual chariots, man. All right, which again, a lot of them a lot of them are, I'm gonna say most of them are the chariots of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right, but they also have ones that they have their own technology to try to deceive you. Okay, if you go look up on Adolf Hitler back in his times, back in 1940s, right? He already had technologies and chariots that look like straight UFOs, man. They actually created their own type of UFOs to deceive people, you know, and they use them things for their own good of you know, decoys and trying to blend in with certain things, you know, to try to throw people off during war. Look it up for yourself. I've looked it up before. All right. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can bring one up real quick. Let me see if it comes up, because the algorithm's crazy, so they don't allow you to search certain things. Germany creating UFOs back in the 1940s, images. Man, they got a couple of them over here. Look kind of cheesy, but let me see. You got this one says Germany invented flying saucers in the 1930s. Matter of fact, look, there's a book called Flying Saucers from Nazi Land, the real story of the Nazi UFOs, Volume 1. All right, top secret. All right, so that's an actual book. It's found on Amazon.com that you could check out. All right, so that's why you have to remember, all right, some of these things you have to have the spirit of discernment and know when it's an actual chariot. Okay, let me see. This is YouTube right here. I don't know if that's legit, but you got a big ass UFO on the top, in the back of a U-Haul truck. All right, big ass 18-wheeler. All right, what I remember me seeing was things like this kind of. They had their own little creations of shit like this. When I've seen the articles and shit like that. Okay, so they were already creating things like that because Yahweh Shai was always revealing himself through chariots, man. Why you think you go to, like, even back in the times of Egypt, and you go into these pyramids, you know, on the hieroglyphics, they show you that they had chariots, that they seen chariots, you know, and there's a reason for that, because they were already being seen in the ancient times. Okay, as a matter of fact, you probably saw more in the ancient times than you see it now. All right, because all these other nations knew of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai in those times, man. Okay, so you know they've been around. You just have to have the spirit of discernment to know when it's a real chariot. All right, when it's a real chariot, it just do some out of this world shit. You know, the way they fly, you know, they can't be captured. All right, I've done videos in the past with militaries out in the deserts and shit like that, trying to shoot down chariots, and you could tell they're real chariots because these things is moving crazy, you know, left to right, dipping and dodging a bunch of bullets and missiles that they're trying to shoot at them. All right, and then at that time, that wasn't no AI. They didn't have AI like that yet. All right, so there were actual footages of things like that. But, you know, when you just see some shit that's floating, all right, a lot of it might just be some, you know, Esau and his technology already trying to brainwash the masses. All right, as a matter of fact, there's a video that's going around right now.
You guys ready for the...
Hold on, let me finish this video and grab another video.
And then a fake Jesus, yeah.
So listen to what he says.
Jesus.
All right, so I just read that whole thing, which was a tweet from Donald Trump. Here goes another one. It says Project Bluebeam is a 1990s era conspiracy theory proposed by Serge Manas, allegedly that NASA and the UN plan to create a totalitarian world government. It claims this will be done by staging a fake alien invasion or new age, right, which we in the NWO religious event using advanced technology to destroy existing faiths. Okay, and we know that NASA represents All right, when you go into that word in Hebrew, NASA goes into Nasa, which means to deceive. All right, so NASA has always been a deceiving, type of technology. NASA, anything that you hear about NASA, talking about they went to the moon and they go to these other planets, all that shit is bullshit, man. None of them have touched any of these other planets. The only thing that they have is technology, all right, with satellites that are able to go into other planets, land on other planets, take pictures of planets. That's about it. All right. Remember, the scriptures say that Esau has his bounds that he cannot pass, man. So he can't go no further than what the Lord allows him to. You see, he can only want to imagine these things. Okay. So NASA goes into being deceived. All right. And it says in the UN plan to create a totalitarian world government. All right. By staging a fake invasion. And they've been speaking about this for years. All right. And one thing I do remember, Pastor Gabar always goes into that. He talks about how, I think it's in 1952, somewhere around there, where you had the White House. I believe it was the White House, or it was another building. I think it was the White House, though, he said, was surrounded by many chariots. It was like 12, 13, 14 different chariots that surrounded the White House, and it was, Yahushua and his angels basically warning, okay, what will happen in these last days. All right. And then they started showing themselves even more when this truth came about. All right. Just when you had man that landed on the moon around the late 1960s. All right. At the same time that man landed on the moon was at the same time that Abba Bivens came out with this truth. So that was when they had their bounds that they cannot pass, man. All right. That's when their sins had reached onto the heavens. All right. Now they try to deceive with their technology and all that, with man trying to land on the moon. And that was pretty much the end. That was the fall from that day on for Esau's, empire, which he's been this whole time, he's been falling little by little. It might not seem like it. It might seem like they're getting stronger and stronger, but they weren't. All right. The moment that they try to act like man went on the moon was where their fall began to, start. All right. All the way up till now. Okay. So let's finish what he says. Oh, shit.
Breaking news. So what did go? You guys ready for the fake alien invasion and then a fake Jesus? Yeah.
See? So the fake alien invasion, the fake Caesar Borgia. Okay? Let me see if I find this other video I want to show you. Like shit like this, if I can find it. I believe I think it's this one. Yeah. Yeah. See, things like this, a lot of people think that this is chariots.
Is that fireworks?
See, things like this, I believe, is the Project Bluebeam already in full effect.
What? Is that fireworks?
Not saying that it can't be chariots, man, but you got to remember Project Bluebeam is out there and they can do things like this. Look at the technologies let me see if I can find a video on that real quick. Let me see if I find it on TikTok. I was trying so hard not to go into TikTok because they was trying to make me do this extra shit. I ended up doing it anyway. Hold on. Let me see if it comes up though. Project Bluebeam. Holograms. Yep. Let's see if they come up.
What if the sky itself?
Because there was one not so long ago. Yeah, this one right here. Perfect. That's the one I wanted. The water y'all by Shemel shot. Now look at this shit. This is straight Project Bluebeam right here. See all them lights coming from the ground? See, they testing that shit. Look at that. It made a whole person in the sky just doing some crazy shit. And then you see the green lights at the bottom, you see? They could do that with drones, you know? Let me see this one.
I'm gonna be the first one to say it. Mark my words. 2026, Jesus and Allah and all them religious fucking people that y'all believe in are going to appear in the fucking sky and tell y'all to bow down and worship them. And they're gonna do miraculous wonders and shit in the sky. And they're gonna see
That's crazy. I was just talking about that.
tornadoes and all.
Hold on, I'm trying to see another one.
When you're about to
Good shit. They're able to do this shit in the skies, man. With technology. So that's why they're gonna try to stage a fake alien invasion, man. All right, with their technologies. And we have to be mindful of these things. All right. And if you understand how the Lord is coming back, like I just read to you, all right, he's gonna come from the east to the west. He's gonna appear in the midst of war. Okay. So anything before that, all right, that's why the Lord said, if they say Hamashiach is here, Hamashiach is there, believe it not. Because all of that shit is bullshit. That's false prophets, that's false messiahs, because the Lord is only coming back one way. All right, and we're gonna know through these scriptures. You have to have the understanding. Okay. So let's grab couple more precepts and I'll close it out. This is let's grab Wisdom of Solomon 5:1, right? And it says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and they shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation. All right, because that's how we're going to be beamed up for salvation. All right, through chariots. So the people are going to be bugged out when they see the strangeness of our salvation. They're going to be bugged out when they see us being beamed up into chariots and their asses is staying on here in earth. All right. And missiles about to smack them, because the scriptures talk about how the righteous is going to scarcely be saved by the skin of our teeth. So as the missiles are coming to hit America is at the same time that the Lord going to beam us up. Okay. And these people going to look at us at the strangeness, going to be amazed at the strangeness of our salvation, saying what? Repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit, saying within themselves, this was he who we had sometimes in derision and a proverb of reproach. We fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. You see? How is he numbered among the children of Yahweh, and how is his lot among the saints? Remember, the Lord said that he's going to come with 10,000 of his saints, these different angels. Okay, then he's gonna also have those that died in his truth. You know, they're gonna be raised up first in his chariots and waiting for us in the chariots. Okay, so the people gonna look at us like, damn, how did they make it up on there? You see? So that's how we know how the Lord is coming back. So anything before that, all right, is going off. All right, let's grab this. This is because this is why you see so many chariots showing themselves. All right, this is Zechariah 5:1, and it reads, then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. All right, how's there such thing as a flying roll? All right, he said unto me, what seest thou? I answered, a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and breadth thereof 10 cubits long. All right, so it was 30 by 15 feet. All right, what explains that? All right, that sounds just about right for a chariot. 30 feet is pretty big. All right, by 15 feet wide. Then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off on that side according to it. I will bring it forth, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. All right, the false messiahs, these different religions, right? And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof, going into them laser beams, man. You see? So this is the curse that goes before the whole earth. So when you see these chariots, when they're real chariots, that's them watching because they're about to destroy this place, man. They're reporting back to the Heavenly Father, the good and the evil. All right. Those that are good, those that are doing righteously, they're going to be beamed up by them. They're going to be saved by them. Those that are wicked are going to be destroyed by them. Okay. So let's grab one more precept. All right. And I'll close it out. All right. This is Ezekiel, the first chapter. All right. I'll just get straight to the point, 1 and 4. And it says, and I looked, and behold, the whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud. See, this is a chariot again. All right. When Moses was receiving the commandments and all that, right? He was being programmed with all that. All right. What was it? What was at the top of Mount Sinai? A cloud. You see? When what's the other one I'm thinking of? Damn, I had it in the tip of my head. You have yeah, same thing. Matter of fact, you know, when we were led by the through the Red Sea, what was leading us through that, man? What was protecting us? Okay, it was a chariot. It was a pillar of fire by night. All right, it was a cloud of smoke by day. What explains that? What the hell is a pillar of fire? How can you be led by a pillar of fire? You see, that goes to show that that was a chariot. Okay. So it says, and I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Okay. And when you go into that word amber, all right, it goes into a polished spectrum metal. All right. Showing you that it was something that it was of the color of metal, and in a chariot, all right. Hey, it's gonna be the Lord's chariot is gonna be built with not even materials of this world. Let's just say, all right. But it still shows you that it was something of the of a polished spectrum metal. Okay, and when you see them trying to make in movies UFOs and how they perceive for them to be, they show that they are metal, that there's some type of metal that, you know, that is strong. Okay, the only thing is it's going to be made of a metal not from this world. Okay, that word polished spectrum metal, I mean come on, Ezekiel, I want to go to amber real quick. Ezekiel 1 and 4. That word amber goes into the word it says a shiny substance. You see, amber or electrum or bronze, uncertain. Okay, then you go down to the Strong's definition. It says bronze or polished spectrum metal. Okay, let's see what this word electrum goes into. Yeah, electrum primarily refers to a naturally occurring or artificial alloy of gold or silver, sometimes with copper or other metals, used historically for ancient coinage, jewelry, or decorative purposes. It is recognized by its variable color, ranging from pale yellow to white gold, in a digital age as a popular lightweight, you know, metal, basically metal alloy. Look at that. Okay, so what explains that? Let me ask something. With a UFO, let me ask the chat something. Would a UFO be made with electrum? There's no credible evidence that says that are made of electrum, or even that confirm UFO craft exists as physical vehicles. But let's break it down. Metal alloy, though, that's funny because they're gonna say metal alloy, but What will be the point of that, right? Let me see. Aluminum alloys, aluminum alloys. Let me ask this. Would a UFO be made out of metal alloys? Just want to see. I'm just playing around with it. Purely from a materials science engineer perspective. If any advanced craft, human or non-human, existed, it would almost certainly be made from metal alloys or composite materials. See? Not pure metals. All right. And remember, it's a heavenly thing. So, hey, the Lord gonna make it out of, whatever he got. Okay. And these things today, these aircrafts and things like that, they're made out of, titanium alloys, When you go to these, they got these things that shoot up into space, right? Into the firmament. They could sit in the firmament in their space stations. What do you think those things are made out of, man? Some type of, titanium alloys. All right. So it has to be made of some type of, high-tech, all right, materials. All right. But again, the Lord is going to use his type of material, man, whatever he has in store to make these things happen. All right. If a UFO is a human craft, almost certainly, blah, 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 made with advanced metal alloys and composites. Yeah, they're just talking some crazy shit over here. Just something I was trying to mess with. All right. But I pretty much made the point, man. We are coming into a time where they're about to deceive heavy, all right, with the technologies that this devil has, all right? And you have to be mindful of these things, man. Do not let these things deceive you, as it says in the bottom there. Be not deceived by the technologies, all right? You can't be deceived with what Esau has in store, all right? Because we have this understanding of this word. We know that the chariots do exist, all right? And we know that they're going to come in a certain manner, okay? And us as the elect, we see them all the time. When you see shooting stars, those are mostly chariots, You'll see things in the sky where you see falling stars and they start turning all colors. Those are chariots, man. Okay? Things hovering in the sky, turning colors, or you'll see the stars and the stars are set in one spot and they're just blinking heavy, bright colors. Those are all chariots. But the time is going to come where you're going to actually see them in action. All right? Coming to destroy this place. All right? And as the scriptures say, when you see these things come to pass, look up, right? Because your redemption draweth nigh. Let's grab that and I'll end it with that. All right? This is, what is that? Luke 2, is that 12 or 21? I think it's 21. Yeah, this is, I'll take it from 21 and 25. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. So there's going to be signs in the sun and the moon, blood moon, super moons, all right? Sun be tripping during the day, all right? And upon the stars, all right, in the nighttime, in the night skies, you see them chariots, right? And upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, and the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them from fear, and for looking after those things which coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud, you see, and a chariot, and with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh, you see. So we're constantly supposed to be looking up in the skies, man. See, our people always looking down in their fucking phones. So they be missing the signs that the Lord has showed you in these last days, because it tells you in 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter. All right, let's grab that real quick. Second Ezra 9 and 5, right? And it says, for like all that is made in the world has the beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and in powerful works and endings in effects and signs. You see? So he has wonders. You see, when you see a chariot, you're wondering, yeah, those are wonders, man. Like, damn, what is that? If you don't have the understanding, okay? And it says an ending in effects and signs. Yeah. You know, the Lord is showing you signs that chariots exist, you know, showing you that we in these last days. Okay. So that's that. When you see these things come to pass, you're supposed to be what? Looking up, because your redemption draweth nigh. Instead of looking down at your phone and you're going to miss all the action. Looking down to see, that's why they got these niggas looking down at their phone, because when the time comes to be destroyed, you're gonna be caught with your ass looking down at your damn phone. All right, which you ain't gonna even have phones at that time, because by then the internet gonna be cut off. You know, the MOTB gonna be in place. You gonna be the phone now. You ain't gonna need no more phones. Okay, but they done trained you to look down. All right, when we're supposed to constantly be looking up in the skies, because the Lord is showing wonders. Showing you that he exists, he is. Okay? Yahushua showing you that he is your salvation. He's showing you that your salvation is in the skies, man. With these chariots. You see? So, we'll leave it there through the Spirit. All right? Lord willing that it was edifying. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, call Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad. The Akim and the Aquat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. So the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith. Enduring as good soldiers of Yahushai as always. Keep throwing the prayers up. All right. A Bible ball real soon. All right. And continue to look up for our redemption draweth nigh, man. We almost up out of here. All right. The Lord is definitely showing the times that we're in. All right. And the end is manifest, as the scriptures say, man. Everything that has a beginning has an end, and the end is manifest. Okay. And it's clear. Why? Because you got the prophets that are making it clear upon the tables of what time we're in. You see? So I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Barakatah.